Of course, bro. Of course, the day that I say I'm going to move on to more productive content, there has to be a huge fucking Reyna bug. Okay, so I can't not cover this, and I hope you'll understand why by the end of the video. As I'm sure most of you probably already know, Reyna was removed Friday afternoon for a bug with her overheal. From the official Valorant Twitter, a bug in patch 10.05 is preventing Reyna from properly using overheal from her Devour ability. At the moment, her overheal isn't updating her health appropriately. As a result, Reyna will be disabled on all platforms while we work on a fix. We'll share updates as soon as we have them. Reyna was removed Friday afternoon. So, when did Riot first know that she was broken? Tuesday. They've known since Tuesday. They were made aware of the bug the day the patch came out, yet they left her in for 3 additional days. There were some people on Twitter that claimed they filed bug reports on Tuesday, but I wasn't able to track down any verified receipts for those. But when we were talking about this in my Discord server, I found this Reddit post from Tuesday evening that a Riot dev responded to. So, I was curious. How many games did the winning team effectively lose where they should have won because of this bug between Tuesday and Friday morning? I did some back of the napkin type calculations and I got somewhere between 36 and 1800. Now that's a crazy margin of error, but some of the variables here are crazy hard to get an accurate picture on. So I'm just going to say either dozens or hundreds of games were affected. So what's that as a percent? A reasonable middle ground would give about 0.01% of games were affected. That means 1 in 10,000 games that were played between Tuesday and Friday last week, the wrong team won, purely due to this bug. That's crazy, right? We should all be up in arms, there should be pitchforks, there should be... I sound crazy, right? I sound crazy for being upset about such a meaninglessly small number of games. But it comes down to the principle. Riot has blasted this term, gameplay integrity, at us for 5 fucking years, and this doesn't feel very integrous to me. So, I have something I'd like to reveal. Back in January of this year, I submitted my own bug report to Riot. It has to do with Taeho's guided salvo. My friend Admonium and I were just messing around, testing out the interaction between Taeho's guided salvo and KJ's ult in the tunnel underneath B site on Fracture. And he found a pixel-perfect bug where if you place the guided salvo on the line of the generator on Fracture, it'll go through and it'll place it in tunnel. It also works on the A-site box, but it's kind of useless there, so... The reason I feel comfortable revealing this now is that they've had 3 months to fix this if they were going to. And the real reason I'm showing you this is because Riot recently changed guided salvo to leave KJ ult alive, and that basically makes this bug useless. But for about 2 months, you could break an unbreakable KJ lockdown that was placed here by using this bug. And there were multiple games where my friend who discovered this bug was playing Taeho, and an enemy KJ did the lockdown there, and he could have broken it. Alright, so I hopped in game to kind of explain the bug a little better, because it's kind of hard just to talk about it. It's better to actually show you what I mean. So ordinarily, if you put a rocket here or here, it's going to go either on top or to the side of gen. However, if you place it on the outline of generator, it's going to go underneath into tunnel. So what this bug was useful for is pre-Taeho rocket nerf, when you could break a KJ lockdown with just the 2 Taeho rockets. If you put a KJ lockdown right there, it was basically impossible to break, because like even if you put the rockets on the side here, they do spherical damage, but a KJ lockdown placed right here would have survived those. And like if you try to put them in tunnel, they're not even going to get anywhere close. So the only way to break a KJ lockdown placed there, pre-Taeho rocket nerf, would have been to do something like this. Which, just to show you one more time, from up here, I put the rockets down like that, they're going to go down there, and they would have broken a KJ ult placed right there. As I said earlier, it's also possible to do this with the A box, but it's not as useful because a competent Taeho main would be able to clear undersight pretty well without bug abuse. I might have left a hole, but I'm not a Taeho main, so However, if you use the box and just kind of do something like this, it becomes really easy to get a really good clear undersight of like all of the potential undersight plants. There might be some people that don't think this is a bug, but the default behavior for the Tahoe rockets are to land on the highest surface available to them. Like if I put it there and there, they land on top of the box and on top of platform. So why in the intermediate case of putting it on the edge would it not pick one of those and instead go underneath? What's more likely, this is an edge case Riot forgot to check, or that this is intended behavior? And if it was intended behavior, they could have like said that in the patch notes, or they could have replied to my bug report and been like, this is intended behavior, instead of we're forwarding this video to the bug team. Originally, we kind of thought, or at least I kind of thought, it was because of these panels. I thought maybe the panels didn't have collision detection, but if we go over here quickly, there aren't really any panels over on the A-site box, so I'm not entirely sure why this bug happens, but yeah. We also checked other maps like Haven and Abyss for potential areas where this could happen, but it's a really specific setup that's needed. You need to have a lower floor, an upper floor, and like a box or something on top of it. And this setup, as far as we're aware of, only appears on A-site and B-site of Fracture. So what's the point of this video? Am I just salty that Riot didn't take my bug report seriously? Honestly, yeah, a little bit. But in general, it's much more about Riot's attitude towards bugs. Riot very much does not give a shit about bugs until they either go viral or cause an incident. Like if the clips hadn't started going viral on Twitter Friday morning, especially the one with Meteor, I really doubt if Reyna would have even been removed. Because if Riot was going to remove her for this bug, they could have done it Tuesday. But I also just said that they don't give a shit whether a bug goes viral or it causes an incident. And that brings us to the last section of this video. On September 13th, 2022, XSET and FPX were playing a lower bracket elimination game at Champions 2022. FPX pulled off a crazy 13-11 victory, with the final round especially just being an intense battle. An hour after the game ended, Riot called both teams back to the arena to replay the game, or more specifically, the final round of the game. This decision was due to a supposed bug with the KJ turret, where its rotation would reset if it lost sight of an enemy. Now, this quote-unquote bug had been in the game for over a year, and it got to the point where everyone just kind of lived with it. People weren't even sure if it was a bug anymore because it had been in the game so long. They replayed the final round of the game, and instead of FPX winning 13-11, XSET tied it up, and it went into overtime. Now, I'm actually planning on starting a series called The Valorant Files, going over some of the most important moments in Valorant's history so far, and episode 1 is going to be on the KJ turret disaster. The footage on screen now is actually a time-lapse of me working on the 3D rendering for that video. So if you want to know how this story ends, you're going to have to subscribe. I know I've sounded irritated or disappointed throughout this video, and honestly, it's because I kind of am. I wouldn't call myself a Riot simp, glazing corporations is cringe, but I genuinely believe the people behind Riot, the devs, the designers, the people working on the lore, actually deeply care about what they're doing, because it shows in their work. And so when stuff like this happens, I tend to have the attitude of a disappointed parent, because I know Riot is capable of doing great things. They just have some shortcomings along the way. So my message to Riot would be to simply be more transparent with all of us. Sure, it sucks if an agent you like to play is disabled, but most people would rather have it explained to them that their agent has a bug and that it's going to be removed. And I know they did that Friday, but the whole point is that they knew Tuesday and waited till Friday, and I still am unsure if they would have taken her out if clips hadn't gone viral on Twitter. I hope they still would have, but I'm not sure. I know most people are probably going to think that I'm overreacting, but I'm going to ask anyways. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and if I'm just bitching about nothing, you can tell me to shut it. Until next time, stay Valorant.